Morning, all. All right, 3 days worth of games on the board today. 5 games for tonight, which of course is Friday. 12 games for Saturday and 5 games for Sunday. So tonight we've got one game starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. That's between Pittsburgh and Florida. On December the 3rd, Pittsburgh won this matchup 5-4 in overtime. These teams will meet again on March the 23rd. The Pittsburgh Penguins 17-17-5 overall, whereas Florida 23-14-2. On the Pittsburgh side, over the last month, their leading scorer is Rickard Rakell. 13 games, 7 goals, 9 assists, 16 points. Crosby second on that list. 12 games, 2 goals, 14 assists, 16 points. So Crosby getting a lot of assists. On the Florida side, Kachuk's their leading scorer over the last month. 14 games, 8 goals, 8 assists, 16 points. Reinhart 14 games, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. So definitely the scoring's been down for Florida over the last month's worth of action. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific start between the Montreal Canadiens and the Chicago Blackhawks. This is the first of two meetings. They'll meet again on April the 14th. Montreal 17-17-3 overall. Chicago 12-24-2. On the Montreal side, their leading scorer over the last month is Cole Caulfield. 13 games, 3 goals, 9 assists, 12 points. Nick Suzuki right there behind him, 13 games, 2 goals, 10 assists, 12 points. On the Chicago side, Bedard, 13 games, 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points, has been Chicago's leading scorer over the last month. Teravainen, 13 games, 1 goal, 11 assists, 12 points. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific start as well between the Ottawa Senators and the St. Louis Blues on October 29th. Ottawa won this matchup 8-1. Sens are 19-16-2 and probably looking forward to some home games after a very long road trip. The St. Louis Blues 18-17-4 on the season, and as I said, this road trip has been brutal, and the Sens did not seem to have a lot of energy against Dallas last night. We'll see how things go in St. Louis. Over the last month, their leading scorer is Drake Batherson, 13 games, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. Tim Stützle, 13 games, 2 goals, 8 assists for 10 points over that same time period. On the St. Louis side, their leading scorer has been Robert Thomas, 14 games, 6 goals, 13 assists, 19 points. Holloway, right there behind him, 14 games, 7 goals, 6 assists, 13 points. Dylan Holloway seems to be getting better as the season goes along. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific start between the Anaheim Ducks and the Edmonton Oilers. On December 29th, of course, Anaheim won this matchup 5-3. These teams meet again March 4th and April the 7th. Anaheim 16-17-4 overall. Edmonton 22-12-3. Edmonton should be well aware that you've got to be careful with Anaheim. They're getting better. Over the last month, Troy Terry's been the leading scorer for the Ducks. 14 games, 7 goals, 5 assists, 12 points. Lacombe right there behind him. 13 games, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. Leon Draisaitl, the leading scorer for the Oilers over the last month. 13 games, 10 goals, 14 assists, 24 points. And McDavid, 13 games, 3 goals, 20 assists for 23 points. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific start between the Nashville Predators and the Vancouver Canucks. November 17th, Nashville won this matchup 5-3. These teams meet again January 29th. Nashville 11-20-7 overall. The Vancouver Canucks 18-11-8 overall. On the Nashville side, their leading scorer over the last month has been Marchessault, 13 games, 10 goals, 5 assists, 15 points. Forsberg, 13 assists and 13 games over that same time period. On the Vancouver side, it's interesting because Quinn Hughes is still their leading scorer over the last month. 11 games, 3 goals, 11 assists, 14 points. But Brock Besser's second on the list, 14 games, 8 goals, 3 assists, 11 points. One thing to keep an eye on, JT Miller does have an assist streak going. I think he's up to 5 games so far. So we'll see if he gets another one tonight. And for Vancouver, they're coming off that shootout win last night against the Seattle Kraken. We'll see how things go the rest of the way here. All right, Saturday's games. So timestamp I wrote down for that. We have one game starting at noon Eastern, which is 9 a.m. Pacific, so I have to be up early tomorrow. At least, I mean, I'm up at that time anyways, but anyhow. On October 29th, I'm not usually watching hockey at that time of the morning, but on October 29th, Washington won this matchup between the Rangers and the Caps by a score of 5-3. These teams meet again March the 5th. The Rangers 17-19-1 overall. Washington 25-10-3. The leading scorer for the Rangers over the last month has been Trocheck, 13 games, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. Panarin, 11 games, 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points. On the Washington side, Dubois is the leading scorer for Washington over the last month. 14 games, 2 goals, 11 assists, 13 points. And Protas, 14 games, 8 goals, 3 assists, 11 points. He's been productive. 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific start between the New Jersey Devils and the San Jose Sharks. So my plan is to review these 2 games on their own before the evening's action gets started. So the New Jersey Devils 24-14-3 on the season. San Jose 12-23-6. November 10th, San Jose went into New Jersey and won 1-0. We'll see what they can do in this one. On the New Jersey side, their leading scorer over the last month is Jack Hughes. 13 games, 4 goals, 9 assists, 13 points. Jesper Bratt, 13 games, 2 goals, 10 assists, 12 points in that same time. Celebrini's been the leading scorer for San Jose, to no one's surprise. 14 games, 4 goals, 9 assists, 13 points. And Toffoli, 14 games, 6 goals, 3 assists for 9 points. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacifics. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games starting then. 1 an hour later, 1 an hour later. Not too bad for a Saturday. Starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, Detroit and the Winnipeg Jets. Detroit 16-18-4 on the season. Winnipeg 27-11-2. The Jets went into Detroit on October the 30th and won that matchup 6-2. Detroit's leading scorer over the last month is Raymond. 14 games, 8 goals, 5 assists, 13 points in that time period. Larkin, 14 games, 2 goals, 9 assists, 11 points for Larkin. On the Winnipeg side, Connor, their leading scorer over that time. 15 games, 9 goals, 14 assists, 23 points. And Scheifele, 15 games, 11 goals, 8 assists, 19 points. Very, very productive Winnipeg Jets in recent time. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Boston 20-16-4, whereas Toronto 24-13-2. On October 26th, Boston won this matchup 4-3 in overtime. November 5th, Toronto won 4-0. These teams will meet a fourth and final time on February 25th. On the Boston side, Pastrnak, 14 games, 4 goals, 11 assists, 15 points. Marchand, 14 games, 7 goals, 7 assists, 14 points for him. On the Toronto side, Marner, 15 games, 4 goals, 14 assists, 18 points. And Nylander, 15 games, 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between the Minnesota Wild and Carolina Hurricanes. This is the first of 2 meetings. They meet again in Minnesota on February 6th. The Minnesota Wild 24-11-4 overall. Carolina 23-13-2. On the Minnesota side of things, Rossi's been their leading scorer over the last month. 15 games, 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points. Even though Kaprizov hasn't been playing recently, still 11 games, 8 goals, 4 assists for 12 points. On the Carolina side, Aho, their leading scorer, 14 games, 5 goals, 10 assists, 15 points. Roslovic, 14 games, 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points over the last month. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between the St. Louis Blues and the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is the first of 2 meetings. They'll meet again a week from this one on January the 11th. So St. Louis, 18-17-4 on the year. Columbus, 16-17-6 on the year. On the St. Louis side, Kyrou, their leading scorer over the last month. 14 games, 9 goals, 3 assists for 12 points. And Buchnevich, 13 games, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. On the Columbus side, Marchenko, 16 games, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points. Has been their leading scorer over the past month. Werenski continues his amazing pace. 16 games, 4 goals, 13 assists, 17 points. And eventually people are going to start talking about Werenski in the Norris, right? Because Makar, Hughes, Yossi, these names that are out there, great players. Werenski deserves to be mentioned in the same breath, I would say. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between the Montreal Canadiens and Colorado Avalanche. So Montreal goes from Chicago to Denver. This is not going to be easy, but Montreal's been proving the doubters wrong on this road trip. This is the first of 2 meetings. They meet again in Montreal on March the 22nd. The Montreal Canadiens 17-17-3 on the year, whereas Colorado 24-15. The Montreal Canadiens, Jake Evans has been their leading scorer over the last month, or their third leading scorer, because we've got the first and second there, third and fourth here. Caught myself. Evans, 13 games, 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points. Lane Hudson, 13 games, 2 goals, 9 assists, 11 points. So I wasn't going to just put the same names twice, because what's the fun in that? So first and second leading scorers, third and fourth leading scorers, and that's the rule that I used across the board. And again, just over the last calendar month. The Colorado leading scorers, McKinnon, of course, 14 games, 7 goals, 21 assists, 28 points. Rantanen, 14 games, 7 goals, 15 assists, 22 points. You just got to keep them off the score sheet. Sounds simple. It's not, or else teams would have figured it out. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific start between Utah and Dallas. So December 2nd, Dallas won this matchup 2-1. December 23rd, Dallas won again by a score of 3-2. And these teams meet a fourth and final time April the 12th. Utah 17, 15, and 6 on the season. Dallas is 23, 13, and 1. The leading scorers for Utah. Keller, 12 games, 7 goals, 10 assists, 17 points. Logan Cooley, 13 games, 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points for him. On the Dallas side, Robertson, 13 games, 4 goals, 12 assists, 16 points. So the points production's there. I still feel like he could score a few more goals than he has been. And Wyatt Johnston, 13 games, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points. It's good news that Dallas has them as their most productive forwards over the last 31 days. And we'll see if that continues into 2025. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific start between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the LA Kings. So this is the first of 2 meetings. They'll meet again in Tampa on January 30th. The Bolts are 20, 13, and 2 on the season. The Kings 22, 10, and 5. On the Tampa Bay side, Braden Point, their leading scorer over the last month, 12 games, 7 goals, 15 assists, 22 points. Very good numbers there. And Kucherov, 11 games, 5 goals, 15 assists, 20 points. Those numbers are good. On the LA side, Kempe, 12 games, 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points. And Fogel's their number 2 scorer over the last month. 12 games, 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points. So some surprises with leading scorers over the last calendar month with these teams. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. We actually have 3 games starting then, beginning with Nashville and Calgary. So the Preds go from being in Vancouver tonight to being in Calgary tomorrow. As I mentioned before, not necessarily that easy of a trip. So, especially at this time of year with the cold weather in between and all that fun stuff. Anyways, Calgary's won the first 2 meetings between themselves and Nashville, so they're looking to sweep the season. It was a 2-0 win November 15th and a 4-3 win on December the 10th. Nashville 11, 20, and 7 overall. Calgary 18, 13, and 7. Stamkos 13 games, 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points. Has been the leading scorer for Nashville over the last month. O'Reilly 10 games, but 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points over those 10 games. On the Calgary side, Huberdeau's becoming a story here. 13 games, 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points. Kadri, 13 games, 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points for Nazem. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific start between Buffalo and Vegas. This is the first of 2 meetings. They'll meet again March the 15th in Buffalo. The Sabres, 14, 20, and 5. The Vegas Golden Knights, 26, 9, and 3. On the Buffalo side, Zucker is now the leading scorer for them over the last month. 15 games, 9 goals, 7 assists, 16 points. Thompson, 15 games, 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points for Tage. On the Vegas side, Eichel, their leading scorer over the last month. 13 games, 2 goals, 12 assists, 14 points. And Theodore, 13 games, 3 goals, 10 assists, 13 points for Theodore. So point per game. Does Theodore get into the Norris conversation? Let me know your thoughts. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific start between Edmonton and Seattle to round out this portion of the program. This is the first of 4 meetings. They meet again January 27th, March 22nd, and March the 27th. The Oilers 22, 12, and 3 on the season. Seattle 17, 19, and 3 on the season. On the Oilers side, Hyman's been their leading scorer over the last month, or one of their leading scorers over the last month, because this is the second Edmonton game I've previewed. Caught myself again. It is one of those things I'll get used to at some point, and it'll just be natural, but along the way, the brain kind of takes a while to get used to it. Zach Hyman, 12 games, 10 goals, 3 assists, 13 points. He's been reading all you people talking about how he was a fluke with that 50-plus goals last year, and so he's scoring a bunch. Connor Brown, 13 games, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points. Brown's finally productive for the Oilers. On the Seattle side, Vince Dunn, 14 games, 7 goals, 7 assists, 14 points. Strong numbers. And Bjorkstrand, 14 games, 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points for Oliver. All right, moving along to Sunday, where we've got 5 games again. The first game starts at 3 Eastern, which is noon Pacific, so a bit later than your normal matinee game on a Saturday, and it's the Rangers in Chicago. So they go from Washington to Chicago. The Rangers 17, 19, and 1, as I've previously mentioned here. Chicago 12, 24, and 2, which I previously mentioned there. December 9th, Chicago went into New York and actually won 2-1. It's one of those low points for the New York Rangers. The Rangers, their third and fourth leading scorers over the last month. Adam Fox, 13 games, 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 points. And Riley Smith, 13 games, 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points. On the Chicago side, Taylor Hall, 12 games, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points. Tyler Bertuzzi, also 13 games, 7 goals, 2 assists, 9 points. So the coaching change has seemingly got some of these players going offensively. 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific start between the Islanders and the Bruins. This is the second of 3 meetings on November 27th. Boston won 6-3. These teams meet a third and final time on February the 27th. The Islanders 14, 18, and 7 on the season. The Bruins, as previously mentioned, 20, 16, and 4. For the Islanders, their leading scorer this month, Lee, over the last month, 14 games, 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points. And Bo Horvat, 13 games, 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points for Bo. On the Boston side of things, their third leading scorer over the last month is actually Morgan Geekie. 14 games, 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points. Lowry, 13 games, 8 assists for Lowry over the last month. 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific start as well between Pittsburgh, who go from Florida to Carolina. For the Canes, they host Minnesota, and then they host Pittsburgh. Carolina's won both meetings between these two so far. 4-1 October 18th, 5-1 November 17th. So for Pittsburgh, they just have to avoid the sweep. Pittsburgh 17, 17, and 5. Carolina 23, 13, and 2. On the Pittsburgh side, their third and fourth leading scorers over the last month. Brian Rust, 13 games, 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points. Bunting, 13 games, 6 goals, 5 assists for 11 points for Michael. On the Carolina side, their third and fourth leading scorers, Jarvis, 14 games, 2 goals, 8 assists, 10 points. And Svechnikov, 14 games, 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between Philadelphia and Toronto. So for Philadelphia, they played last night against Vegas. They have a couple of days off, and then they're in Toronto. This is the first of 3 meetings. They meet again January 7th and March the 25th. Philadelphia 17, 18, and 4 on the season. Toronto, as previously mentioned, 24, 13, and 2. On the Philadelphia side, Konechny, their leading scorer over the last month, 14 games, 8 goals, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points. And then Tippett, 14 games, 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points for Owen Tippett. On the Toronto side, Tavares, 15 games, 8 goals, 8 assists, 16 points. Very productive without Matthews. And Bobby McMahon, 10 games played, 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points. McMahon's a producer. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific is the last game of the night, so Sunday things are done relatively early. It's Tampa Bay in Anaheim. So the Bolts go from LA to Anaheim. Anaheim goes from playing in Edmonton on Friday to playing at home on Sunday night. First of 2 meetings as well. They'll meet again on January the 18th in Tampa. So for the Bolts, they're 20, 13, and 2 as previously mentioned. The Ducks 16, 17, and 4. And hey, they can beat the Oilers and then beat Tampa. They could be above 500 this late in the season. That'd be weird because I don't know the last time that's happened. Jake Gensel, 11 games, 10 goals, 5 assists, 15 points. Has been playing very well. Hagel, 12 games, 7 goals, 6 assists, 13 points. These are players that Tampa picked up from elsewhere, of course, who've been very successful in Tampa. And then on Anaheim's side, Fabry, 10 games, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points for him. Vetrano, 14 games, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points, is the fourth leading scorer for Anaheim over the last month. So there you go. You guys are all set up. Let me know your winners in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.